接下来我想要问Chris牧师一个问题，因为特别是这本书里面讲到丰盛富足，那我想要帮助弟兄姐妹，就是我们要如何能够脱离一个负债的人生？其实这对很多的基督徒来说是非常重要的一个议题。
One thing that's really important to know about wealth is that wealth runs on two tracks, like a train. One is stewardship, and the other is generosity. You can give away all your money and still be broke. And you can be a great steward and not be generous in the kingdom and still be broke. And so it's really important that we keep these two things in tension. For instance, the Bible says, if you give, it shall be given to you. I love the fact that it's powerful. It empowers me because the Bible doesn't say, wait till someone gives to you and give. It says give, and it shall be given to you. In other words, I am not a victim. You may say, I don't have any money. The Bible doesn't say, give money and it shall be given to you. It says give. If I don't have anything to give, then I must give of my time. I must give of my energy. I must give of my gifts. I must give of my talent. But I always have something to give. This begins what we call the ecosystem or the culture of reciprocity. I give, it's given to me. When it's given to me, I give. When I give, it's given to me. And the more I give, the more I receive. And the more I receive, the more I give. And now I'm beginning to actually break the cycle of poverty. The Bible says that the first 10% of everything that I receive actually it's actually a gift for God. It's not 10%, it's the first 10%. In other words, I give this 10% before I give anything else. It's my, if you will, it's my payment for air, for water, for the things that God provides. And as T.D. Jakes says, I can make God a partner in my life for 10% of the profit. And he controls everything. So what a great investment. I got the guy who's in charge of everything. He lets me have 90, I give him 10. That's a pretty good deal. The second thing is debt. And debt is, it's rampant in every first world country. You know, when my grandparents ran out of money, they actually couldn't buy anything. It sounds like a revelation. Like they actually couldn't buy anything. Like they ran out of money, they actually couldn't buy anything. They didn't have credit cards. They didn't have credit. They didn't have any of those things. So, you know, building deep debt in my grandfather's day was quite a bit harder. Nowadays, you can run out of money. You're like, I still got my credit card. And people sometimes measure how they're doing by how much more they have on their credit card limit. And I'm like, no. You understand that every time you use your credit card and you don't pay it off at the end of the month, that you're actually paying interest and you are actually the slave to a lender, and that interest that's on a credit card is about the highest interest. It's like borrowing money from a gangster. Like you don't pay that back, and all of a sudden you borrowed $100 and you owe back $120. And sometimes I watch people, they'll borrow on another card to pay that card, and pretty soon they don't realize it, but you have actually reversed the order of reciprocity, and you're actually spiraling down in debt. So how do I get out of debt? Well, this is pretty simple. I have to spend less than I make. And I have to do it for long enough that I can pay off my debts. That might mean I move into a smaller apartment. That might mean that I get rid of my car and use Uber. That might mean that I work a few hours overtime. You know, that might mean there are numerous ways. It's like I either have to increase my income or I have to reduce my debt. And I have to get used to that. One of the things we teach people in our culture is that when you start life, like the first time you ever get money, you should live on 80% and give 10 to God and put 10 in the bank. So you're always living on 80%. You're always giving 10 and saving 10. That way, when your car breaks down, the roof leaks, your kid hurts himself and has to go to the doctor, you have that 10% that you're putting away, that's the rainy day fund. It's the crisis fund. But if you live on 100% or even on 90 and you're giving God 10, there's just no way that life is so safe that nothing's going to happen. So you might I've got this great budget. I make $1,000 a month, and I give 10 away, and I live on $900. It's like that is going to work until something goes wrong. And oftentimes we find ourselves in debt because we're living to our full capacity, and then something breaks, something happens. And all of a sudden, I have to pay for that on a credit card because I don't have the money. Now I'm on the wrong side. I just borrowed from a gangster. I'm on the wrong side of interest. Instead of interest being paid to me, I'm paying interest to somebody. And now I'm spending years trying to pay that debt off. And by the way, if I pay the minimum payment, which the credit card company loves me to do, my debt is actually growing every day. Let me summarize it like this. Don't use credit cards unless you pay them off every month. Live below your means. No matter how little you make, live below that. Be generous. Make sure that you make a habit out of tithing because you make God your partner. And He also commanded you to do that. And then live with a vision, with a wealth mentality. And as we talked about in other questions, begin to create sources of income so that you can have more money and you're living on 80%. I'm living on 80% and that's $800 because I make $1,000. Well, if I grow multiple sources of income, pretty soon, someday that's $2,000. Someday that's $3,000. And now I'm still living on 80%, but my 80% creates a much better lifestyle. That's the way to come out of debt and break the debt cycle.